Hey, Gary here. Need help getting started capturing devices with your Quad Cortex? Let's go check out how to do it. So as most high-end modelers are able to, the Quad Cortex obviously is capable of being able to capture the tone of a lot of devices and try to replicate them as much as it can virtually as a clone within them almost seamlessly. And it's pretty wild how much this technology has come the last 5 or 6 years. It was before very much just a kind of niche type of thing that, quite frankly, in most cases, it just didn't sound very good. And they were only able to do a handful of devices. While we can't do everything, there's still certain devices you can't handle pedal-wise, like delays and reverbs are generally pretty difficult to handle and aren't supported right now on these captures. I think that's around the corner. I do actually think that that's going to be something that they're going to have breakthroughs pretty soon with, because it's definitely making leaps and bounds just in the course of the last couple of years with the Quad Cortex and different firmware revisions and things they've done. They've really opened up and streamlined that process of captures. And quite frankly, the things that you're getting from those captures are brilliant. They're almost one-to-one. In fact, I really challenge a lot of folks, if you do a good solid capture and follow the rules, if you will, of the ways to be able to do it, you're probably going to be really happy with the results for the most part. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. I have a boutique pedal sitting in front of me right now. So obviously I'm a metalhead. I'm a huge fan of Ministry. And about a year ago or so, they put out this Mine is a Terrible Thing to Taste anniversary pedal that basically is a preamp and overdrive, and it captures the kind of essence of that era of Ministry. And this pedal is fantastic. I absolutely love it. And I haven't had the chance to make a clone of it yet. So what we're going to go through in just a moment is we're just going to step through the process of being able to take this overdrive pedal, and I'm going to show you exactly what it takes to be able to capture it, and then ultimately put it up into the cloud, not only for sharing with others, but if you want to make it private or do whatever, you can have backups of your favorite pedals. So that way, if you're going out on gigs or doing anything else, you don't got to worry about having these things out there in the elements, or for people to potentially steal, or doing anything else, or cluttering up your pedal board for that matter. You can put it right on your Quad Cortex and access it anytime you want to. So let's get over there and check out how the process works. So let's get started with capturing the device. The first thing I want to do is take the pedal that I'm going to be capturing, which is an overdrive pedal. It's a preamp and overdrive, and just give you a quick look at it. So this is a custom pedal. It's one that's super near and dear to my heart. It's the Ministry special edition pedal that they recently put out. Mine is a Terrible Thing to Taste. There's a very specific boutique company that's making these that gives a preamp and a drive that's built very similar to Ministry's tones and sounds that they had when they were actually making that album. So this pedal is meant to kind of represent being able to give you all of those great classic tones any way you want, really. And it also came in a signed box and stuff like that. And yeah, I love Al Jorgensen. You'll see that if you watch the channel more. Definitely a huge fan. Anyways, this is the pedal. It's pretty self-explanatory. So basically, it's just a preamp and overdrive. Okay, and it's got singular input and output, as you can see, with a 9-volt in the back. So nothing too crazy. What I'm probably going to do when I capture this is just capture the preamp. I'm actually going to go through and probably do this 3 or 4 times to get all the different modes and things like that. And I will share a link that I'll have with all these captures, so you can go get them from my cloud account. But in the meantime, I'm just going to show you a single run of being able to do this, so you'll get the gist about how to be able to capture your own pedals and what the process kind of looks like. I'm going to use Cortex Control for the most part, just to interface. It's a little bit easier, obviously. But I'm going to also, obviously, as well, leave the camera running on the actual Quad Cortex, because I do want to show you the interface that you have on the Cortex Control when you're going to go through some of this is slightly different. And it's only when the capture is happening. So when you're actually going through the process of like going to the menu and getting to the point where you're ready to do your capture, the interface is identical. But when you actually get to the point of going a little closer and actually, working with doing the full capture, that's when it's going to change a little bit. So give me just a moment. I'm going to wire up the pedal, and then I'm going to walk through what it's like to actually go through this with you. We're ready to start a capture. I got everything wired up. We're going to go through the wiring process as well, so that way you'll be 100% clear on what it is. It's not that bad. It's pretty straightforward. The device is always going to give you exact instructions on how to proceed with this, so it's pretty cool that it does that. And by the way, too, if any of you have done this in the past, I think it was CoreOS 2.0, this process has changed a little bit. The wiring is actually slightly different, a little bit more streamlined, if you will, but still very straightforward. Like I said, the device is going to tell you every time exactly what it is that you need to do. So I want to show you quickly the two different ways, both in Cortex Control and on the Quad Cortex device, on how to start a new neural capture. It's slightly different in the menu. It's still in the settings menu, but it's just in a slightly different place. So I want to make sure that you understand exactly where you're going to be going to. So let's start with the Quad Cortex device. We want to go to the settings menu, which is in the upper right-hand corner with those three ellipses that are going to be over here. And I'm sorry, my camera is going buggy, so let me just back it out with tracking a little bit. All right, now I want you to go ahead and click in that corner, okay? And then you're gonna scroll all the way down. So usually it would be up here, right? So you're gonna scroll all the way down to that contextual settings menu, which just says Quad Cortex, and you'll see new neural capture. That is what you will tap on to start the process from the Quad Cortex itself. Secondarily, if we're going to go over to our app here, and I'm going to let the camera do its thing back in. If we go over to the Quad Cortex Control app and click in the three ellipses settings at the top here, that is where you're going to find new neural capture in this mode as well. So either the app or the Quad Cortex, both of these are going to start the exact same process. So let's go ahead and click that. Okay, so this is the menu. Obviously, you see in the bottom right-hand corner as well, you can skip if you want to. And the fast-forward version of that on the Quad Cortex itself is these two arrows. If you click that, it's going to blow through this templated kind of intro to tell you how to do the wiring. If you already know what it is, don't worry about it. You can tap that and it'll take you straight to just testing your levels and being ready to capture. Okay, but we're going to step through this because I really want you to be able to see exactly what you're supposed to be doing here. So this will help to describe a little bit more about my configuration and settings. I'm not going to take you through actually taking full pictures of the whole thing because I don't need to. It's pretty straightforward where this is. So right now, I have my input going from my guitar to input 1 on the Quad Cortex. And that's exactly what's being depicted here. It's asking you plug your instrument into input 1. So I have that right now. So let's go to the next one. Next, however it is that you want to be able to hear monitoring so you can test and do these things, I will tell you that this is actually kind of optional. If you want to hear what you're doing when you're getting things prepared, that's fine. To be honest, it doesn't really necessarily matter in my mind. I mean, you don't have to do this. It's an optional, simply because there's nothing to really hear, right? When it's like going, you could hear some of those tones and things if you really wanted to, but you don't have to. And even in testing like your sound and kind of dialing that in and such, if you want to, cool. And it's certainly helpful if you want to be able to do it, but you don't have to. So I guess my point is, if you're, say, low on cables or just in a hurry and don't necessarily want to do that, you don't have to. You can totally get this capture without having to do this. But if you do, your standard outputs along with your headphone jack are totally going to work to be able to at least give you a monitor sound, line out, if you will, of what you're going to have on that output. Okay. So next, this is the important part. Connect capture out to the input of your target device. So in this case, that is going to be capture out of the back of the Quad Cortex to the input on my pedal. Okay, so capture out on the back of the Quad Cortex to the input where the guitar would plug in on the pedal that you're planning to capture. Okay, and next, now we are going to take the output of that guitar pedal. So the output port of the guitar pedal is going to have a wire that runs to input 2 on your Quad Cortex. Okay, so again, I'm saying pedal. This is interchangeable with an amp or something similar. If you're dealing with an amp, you can do direct DI if you have a load box or something like that to be able to capture. Also, if you're doing something where you're capturing a full amp and cab combo and you have microphones going on your cabinets, this is going to be the same thing, right? Where you're just going to capture the DI from that microphone and it's going to go into input 2 of the Quad Cortex to fill this looped chain. Okay, so that way it can send its sounds. So remember, when you're doing this, you're looking to be able to get a loop. You want a loop of audio to come through from the device to your device that you have. So sorry, let me be more specific here. You want this sound to originate from the Quad Cortex, send that sets of tones through your pedal or amp device or cabinet, whatever it is you're looking to capture. And then it needs to capture a clean DI on the other side of that device. And it needs to go back to the input. So then it's going to consistently loop these different noises that it's going to be looking at through the Quad Cortex and through your device so that it can understand how this device is responding to all of these different tones and frequencies. That's what allows it to model and keep that model together. So it's capable of being able to make this black magic work with capturing devices and doing this stuff, okay? So that's the whole point of what we're doing. So in this case, the guitar and the input that I'm getting from the guitar is simply for me to be able to test through that device, getting my line levels right. At the end of the day, once it's done, it's no longer being used. The guitar input isn't doing anything when you're capturing on a pedal. So once you start it, your guitar is doing nothing. Simply the signal that's coming out of cap out to the input of your pedal, and then from obviously the output of your pedal to input 2 is the only things that really matter in that capture, okay? So let's go ahead and hit next. We're good. I have all my wiring set just like I expect it to be. So we're gonna hit next one more time. And now we're going to see that we're greeted with the leveling. So this is kind of the final step before we kind of get started with our capture, to just be able to check, is everything in order? And one of the biggest things I'm going to point out to you, one of the biggest things that I want to point out to you is it's important to get your levels as high as you can. So you want that output to be as high as you can without clipping, okay? As soon as you go into red on that leveling, both in N1 and N2, you really want to make sure that it's not getting there. And as you can see, I'm strumming really hard and doing that. I got to really push to get into the red. So that's a good thing. I think we're in a good place with that. Now, I'm actually going to hit one button here to be able to actually go into preamp mode. So this is going to push this signal a little bit more in the front. As you can see, I'm still not having issues there. It's turned on, but my output is too low. Okay, so I'm actually going to bring this up. That way we can make this work. And I'm also going to demonstrate auto. So right now I'm not in auto mode for the output, the N2, which is going to be your output from your pedal to the device itself. You want these to be as close as you can from N1 and N2, but you can think about it basically as N1 is your input clipping, right? And being able to make sure you're leveling, I should say, so you're not clipping there. And then 2 is going to act like your output. So it's making sure that your inputs and outputs both aren't going to be clipping. I'm going to demonstrate auto for you just so you can see this. I wouldn't necessarily always recommend auto. I've had a couple of times where it just doesn't quite seem to make the right decisions for me. But like I said, you want to get as close as you can get to that red zone, right? The upper side of your level meter without actually reaching it. So you're just going to want to strum really hard a few times to be able to try to see what you can do to get this going. And as you can see, I just continue to do so, and it just keeps bringing it up and up and up until we hit the edge of where it is. All right, I'm happy with that. So let's go ahead and call it a day with that. We have 1 dB up on our input, and we have 13.7 dB up on our output. Now, one other thing I'm going to mention, I have everything at noon on this pedal that I have, and I would really probably strongly suggest that unless you really are trying to get that exact sound, and that's exactly where you want it to be, go for it. For me, what I want to do is I want to just get everything right in the middle of the different versions of the pedal, in terms of like clicking one stomp and then having that turned off, and then clicking another stomp and having that turned off, having a switch turned on. I want to capture all those as neutral as I can, and then kind of work with that flavor from there post capture, just to be able to try to get that as much as I can. With an overdrive pedal, that's okay. I don't think it's not nearly as much as, say, like some of the other like fuzzes and you know, some of the other modulators that you can capture. It's not quite as worrisome to me to be able to catch that exact level. This pedal is going to sound pretty good at neutral. So I'm fine with that. So anyways, that's the main takeaway that I will mention here. Also, you have this area for ground lifts. You can turn them on and off if you want for those different inputs and outputs as you're working with them. I don't really have a need for doing any of this. The Phantoms, obviously, these are more for microphones. If I was doing a mic from a from a cabinet or a capture of DI directly out of a amplifier, which I'm not doing. Again, this is just a pedal, not worried about it. Finally, cab sim. This is something kind of neat. So if you want to actually, while you're in this mode and while you're testing, you can actually turn cab sim on. And when you do this, it's going to actually give you a simulation of having a cabinet in front of your tones. So you can kind of dial in a little bit more. This will basically give you a little bit more of an understanding about what this is going to sound like before you actually go and capture it. So that way you can tweak tone and doing things if you want, excuse me, before you actually get to the point of capturing. That's on, off. It's a little bit more harsh because it's a DI directly out of there and it's like without a cab. So this cab sim is really nice because I can totally hear a little bit more naturally what this is going to end up sounding like, which is helpful. So that's definitely good. Yeah, I'm happy with where this is at. Let's go ahead and start the capture. Cool. And as you can see, we're starting. It says recording signals. And now this is where it deviates between what you're going to see in Cortex Control versus what you're going to see on the device. Obviously, what you see on the device is being able to give you an exact slider that's telling you how far along you are. On Cortex Control, it's a little bit more of a WYSIWYG of, hey, here's what's going on. Hey, by the way, here's some other stuff you could be doing while we're capturing. Okay. So like I said, my guitar means nothing now. It's not doing anything in this flow. It's totally just sending out this pulses and signals through the device and then capturing it back again to the Quad Cortex and really capturing exactly what it's doing. So in this case, I'm just going to fill out some of the information here so I can have a file name when I store this. Let's see, what do I want to call this? Yeah, let's do that. Preamp on. Go. This is a guitar because it's the preferred instrument. And then the type of capture, you have default, amp, combo, amp and cab, and pedal. And in this case, obviously I'm capturing a pedal. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And we're just going to wait for the training to happen and the rest of this to go. So I'm going to fast forward here and we'll come back once this is complete. By the way, I'd like to take a moment here just to be able to slightly pander to you. I'm attempting to try to really grow the channel and make some of these things happen. I hope you're having an awesome day today and that this video is maybe helpful for you. If it is, can I please implore you, like, subscribe. I know you hear people pandering to you all the time with this, but it would really mean a lot to me. I would like to grow this channel to a point where I can get some situations happening where I can maybe get some gear to flow in, and I could start to really walk through some of these types of deep dives and give you more content and make those things happen. So likes and subscribes would truly, truly help me. Thanks a lot, guys. All right, let's continue to fast forward this. All right, our capture is ready. Let's go ahead and finish this up, and then I will create a new preset to be able to show you what's going on with it. Before we do, there's a couple things you can kind of look at here, and this is where you can actually get to a point where you can really audition this. Now, we've had all of these settings basically available to us to begin with, okay? But the A/B comparison is actually kind of neat here too. So this is reference. So this is the actual flow through the pedal right now, okay? Sounding pretty close. Sounding pretty close. All right, let's go ahead and save the neural capture, and then we'll make a quick preset to be able to show you how to actually make use of this new captured pedal. Our capture is complete. I have what I need to be able to get started with a preset. And I haven't done much here. So all I really did was just, I took a Bogna Uber Clean amplifier, okay? And then I used a IR loader and took one of my impulse responses for a Mesa Boogie 4x12 mic'd with an M160 and a SM57, okay, in single mono. So that's all I'm doing. Nothing too fantastic. I don't have to run this cabinet if I didn't want to, but I really like Mesa, and it's the type of gear these guys were running back in the day when they initially were recording some of these songs. So I thought it would be fitting to make it a little bit more accurate when it comes to that. So that's all I have in the channel, and what you can hear is going to reflect that. Just nice, clean, nothing too crazy with gain or anything else, right? So because it's an overdrive, obviously I'm going to put it in the front of the signal chain for the amp. So let's go ahead and click on this box here to be able to create a new device block. We're going to go neural capture. In this case, it's going to be my captures. So when you would first click, you would just see it like this: factory captures, my captures, and downloads. Okay. I'm going to go to my captures because we just created this, right? And if I go down, I named that Ministry Tasty preamp on. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and click that. And now we have that device capture added. So I'm going to double click for just a moment because I want to bypass. I want to turn that off because I want to show you one more time what the differences are in sound now. Then we'll turn it on. So there you go. It's a full capture. That's exactly what it sounded like when it was coming out, at least to my ears anyways, of what it was. I mean, I don't know that you could pick out much besides maybe some stray tones and frequencies, but I'm not hearing it in the room. So it definitely sounds just like the pedal at this point. Again, this isn't one of the most difficult pedals to kind of emulate, but in terms of being able to capture it, it did a pretty good job of it. Yeah, that works. That totally works for me. So there you go. Now you've seen how to go through the basics of taking a pedal and being able to get it processed and then finally making a capture out of it. And now what you can do with this, right? So now that I've done this, is we can actually share this to the cloud. So let's go ahead and take a look at doing that next. So let's go ahead and upload this capture to the cloud. There's two different ways you can do it. Obviously, you can do it on the Quad Cortex itself, and then you can also do it using Cortex Control. Both are going to be performed from the directory. One is slightly different. So the Quad Cortex, because of the fact, obviously, you're mainly dealing with something that's a touch screen. It's a little bit of a different procedure to be able to get to the point where you can actually upload it. With Cortex Control, it feels like it's a little bit more straightforward, if I'm going to be honest with you. But I'm going to show you where it is on the Quad Cortex, and then I'm going to also show you where it is on Cortex Control, and then I'll upload from Cortex Control just to be able to make that happen. So from the menu on the Quad Cortex itself, what we're going to do is we're just going to tap right here on the preset name, and that's going to take us to the directory view. Okay. And from here, we're going to scroll down from presets and instead go to neural captures, my captures. Okay. And then if you scroll all the way down to where mine is Ministry Taste preamp on. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to long press on that, just like that. And now you're going to see up in the left-hand corner, there's a cloud with an up arrow. And that means that if I tap that, it's going to upload it to my cloud account, and then it would be available through the portal. Okay. I'm going to skip doing that here. And instead, I'm going to also show you how to do this in Cortex Control and then ultimately hit the button to make that happen. So let's go back to directory. Under there, we're going to see captures library, my captures. And I'm going to scroll down until I see Ministry Taste preamp on, which is the one that I just completed. We're going to go ahead and click on the ellipses to the side of that, and then you'll see upload to cloud. Just simply going to hit upload to cloud. There you go. Now let's go ahead and switch over to the profile site so that way you can actually see the final result of it being available on the cloud. Here we are. I've gone to cloud.neuraldsp.com and logged into my account. I can see that because my icon is right here. And what we're going to do is go my profile. And then once you're complete with my profile, go to neural captures. Once you click on neural captures, then you'll see my pedal that I just captured is right here. All the details with it. I can toggle private if I don't want to make this something that I share out, unless I have a specific group of people I want to. I could totally do it there. I can add tags. I can update some of these preferences. You also get this really handy kind of meter here that shows you how much gain it estimates this this particular pedal to have. It's a generally helpful thing. It gives you some kind of ballpark on what you're probably going to have to dial in with your inputs and outputs to make sure you're not going to clip when you add it to a sound bank. So it's kind of nice when you're dealing with those parts. Obviously, you can then hit edit details and play around with some things here, including being able to give it a nice nifty little screenshot here for being able to show it off and being able to talk about it, as well as the description. And I really do implore you to make descriptions on some of these, especially when you're doing these captures. Give a little bit of details on what it is you're doing. I will absolutely be filling this in to be able to say, hey, all of my knobs are in noon, and this is just preamp, and the tasty switch isn't turned on. Like, those types of things are really, really helpful, because you'll find a lot of people will do the same captures, but it makes it really hard to take one over the other when one of them has a really deep description that makes it easy to understand what you're getting into versus another that doesn't. And you'll definitely notice differences in some of those different pedals. So please make sure you fill in these descriptions and tags. It really does help the community too, to be able to understand what they're kind of working with. There you have it, another one in the books. So we went through being able to take a overdrive pedal, fully capture it, make adjustments to that capture, put it into a preset, and then finally upload to the cloud for you to share with the rest of the community or to keep private for yourself. The process is really streamlined. Like I said, it's the same for basically for dealing with amplifiers and cabinets as well. Obviously, with cabinets, you're going to deal with microphones. So you'll need to understand how to mic a cab. If you don't know how to do that, there are some good videos that'll make that happen. I'm actually going to make a video pretty soon here to go through that too in the next few weeks. So be on the lookout. But in the meantime, if you've got comments and questions about how to do that, please do ask them. I'll do my best to be able to answer you and point you in the right direction, because miking cabinets isn't that hard, but it is definitely an art. So you need to know what you're doing, and you have to have the proper microphones to make that happen. So as I've already mentioned, any comments, questions, please put them below. I'd love to hear from you. I'd also really, really appreciate, and I'm sorry to pander, but I would really appreciate if you would like and subscribe to the channel as well if you have the chance, and if you like the content that's here. The more people that I can get to do this, and I am on the hunt of trying to make this happen, will get me to a point where I could start making some further connections with gear companies and start getting new gear in that I can start to review and talk about with you as things happen. And that would very much help me, because I don't want to have to buy all of this just to be able to talk through making how these things work. Like, it's a tough gig to be able to make those things happen. So I would appreciate that time. Please, if you would, I would very much appreciate it. And until next time, see ya.